up? I'm Peyton and I'm autistic. And if you clicked on this video, you might be wondering whether or not that's considered a disability. The short answer is yes, but this video is about why. Okay, so to start this off, I just want to say that autism is not a mental disorder. It is a neurodevelopmental disorder, meaning that it is how your brain developed. You are born with autism. You cannot catch it. You cannot get it from something. A vaccine cannot give it to you. It's genetic. That doesn't necessarily mean that one of your parents is autistic, but it means somewhere in your family tree, someone was autistic, most likely multiple people. And it's super underdiagnosed, so just because you're the first person to be diagnosed with autism in your family does not mean you're the first person with autism in your family, I promise. With that being said, it is considered a disability for a lot of different reasons, and I can only speak on my experience because I'm one autistic person, and if you've met one autistic person, you've met an autistic person. Everybody's experience is different, that's why it's a spectrum. Yes, autism is considered a disability, but no, not every autistic person feels debilitated by their autism. It differs person to person, but regardless of whether they feel debilitated by it, their mind still processes things differently. So if they don't feel debilitated by it, I can only imagine that they must have an amazing support system or are just incredibly accommodated. I don't know. I can't relate. But here are some reasons that I personally feel debilitated by my autism, because I can only speak from my experience. But first of all, sensory sensitivities to so fucking many things. Like, I could not even begin to list everything off, but just off the top of my head. Lighting, just in grocery stores or office buildings or like in general, overwhelm me so much. Like, I literally have to close my curtains and just like sit in like dim lighting to no lighting sometimes because I'm so overstimulated. Crowded places, being around a bunch of people, I just can't handle. I get so overstimulated. I will have a panic attack. I have incredibly bad social anxiety, which will come up later. But as an autistic person, I am constantly taking in so much more sensory input. I'm constantly noticing and being bothered by so many more things than a neurotypical person would ever even notice. Like, I can hear the buzzing from the charger that's plugged into the wall and the refrigerator knocking and the AC running all at the same time is driving me crazy. And then if somebody wants to like turn music on top of that, I literally want to shoot myself. Like, it's so bad. You might as well have 20 people surrounding me just screaming at my head. Like, that's what it sounds like to me. So I get overstimulated and sensory overload so fucking often that like keeping up with a full-time job would be pretty much impossible. Social anxiety, like I just said, is not something that every autistic person experiences, obviously. I have hair sticking to my lip gloss and it's driving me insane. Okay. Sensory sensitivity. Anyway. Social anxiety is something that affects me so fucking much, and I think a lot of it is just being traumatized by society, not ever being not ever being socially acceptable and always being considered weird and always doing the wrong thing. I'm so anxious to do anything but like act like a robot and do nothing but like don't look to the side, don't walk weird, don't do anything, just look straight, keep your body straight, walk, get your stuff, leave, don't do anything weird. Like, I'm masking so much, which is also so exhausting. But just like the constant social anxiety is awful. and can be completely debilitating. Like, I can try to walk into Walmart sometimes and I will literally waste gas money just driving to Walmart to try to walk in, not to be able to do it because of all of the people and lights and just overstimulation. That is a nightmare. And I will literally just have to turn around and go home because I can't deal with it. Like, I literally just can't. Like, if I tried, I would probably end up in the fetal position, like having a panic attack or a meltdown. So I literally like have to leave. And then I mean, there's stuff that I still have to get, so I have to try again in a day or two to come back and get my groceries and shit. But like, imagine if that happened at a full-time job. Like, I can't just leave and I can't just curl up in the fetal position and have a meltdown. So like, what are you supposed to do? And then just social and communication differences in general. Autistic people tend to communicate differently. We tend to process communication differently. So that can lead to a lot of misunderstandings. That can lead to workplace drama and people misunderstanding you and disliking you. And that can really negatively affect your mental health. And there are just so many things that go into what can make autism debilitating in everyday life. Not to mention, some autistic people are nonverbal or have nonverbal moments, and what the fuck are you supposed to do if you're working in like a social role as like at work? Like, what if you're a cashier or something and you just go nonverbal and you can't like talk to the client? Or what if you like need to take an order as a waitress and you can't speak? Like, I mean, some autistic people literally are completely nonverbal or non-vocal and like would never even be able to attempt to start a job in any position. I'm lucky enough where I've had the opportunity to try multiple times and it's just never worked out. Mostly because of burnout, because I will push myself and give my absolute fucking all for as long as I possibly can and pretend like I'm fine and not let it show that I'm struggling until I absolutely can't anymore and I completely break, and then I just can't get out of bed and I can't go to work. And I just don't show up again because I can't. Like, as much as I try to, as much as I want to, I physically cannot get out of bed. Like, when I was in high school, towards the end, right before I dropped out, I got my GED, but right before I dropped out, I was literally like so burnt out that I could have 20 alarms set off, like going off back to back to back, having multiple people banging on my doors, trying to wake me up, yelling at me, and I was awake. I was trying to get up, but I couldn't. Like, I physically could not pick myself up out of bed, no matter how hard I tried. Burnout can be absolutely debilitating, and there are so many things that can affect your ability to function as an autistic person in this world. Like, I literally don't have energy to feed and clean myself at times because of how burnt out I am. And used to, I would be embarrassed to admit something like that, but I didn't know why it was so difficult for me to keep up with basic life things like that. And now I do. I have an explanation for it because I got a diagnosis and I studied autism for almost 2 years now. So I understand myself so much better. And I just have so much more empathy and grace for myself at this point.
I'm so tired of being tired. Today, I got dressed, made breakfast, and had a Zoom call. That was all I did. And that was too much for me. That was too much. People in my life are like, oh, it's so nice. Like, you don't have any responsibilities. Like, you just get to relax all day. Like, no, I'm not relaxing. I'm working my ass off to do things that you don't even consider tasks. I've been cutting things out of my life to try to make my life more sustainable so that I recover from burnout. And it's gotten to the point where I don't leave my house, I don't have friends, I don't do fun things, I don't have a job, and I'm still burnt out. Burnout just sucks. It's so lonely and it's so miserable, and people don't understand the struggle. No matter how much I try to explain how burnout feels, nobody will fully understand it unless they experience it.
But in conclusion, I just want to stop seeing comments, ignorant ass comments that are like, oh, your generation just wants to make excuses for being lazy, sensory sensitivities that doesn't fucking exist, da 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 da. It's like, yeah, it does, you're just uneducated. And also, I hear way too fucking much, well, that's just life, that's just adulting, that's how you feel. Like, no, that's not life, that's not adulting, that's disability. People will be like, well, like, we all feel like that sometimes, and it's like, we all pee too, but if you're peeing 60 times a day, you might have a bladder problem, so take that into consideration. And also, if you do feel like you are debilitated this much by things going on in your life, maybe look into a diagnosis. If not autism, something else, because I don't think that's neurotypical of you. And I hope that anybody that was thinking something like that isn't like offended, because honestly, my goal is just to educate people, and like, we were all ignorant at one point. We all have to learn at some point, you know? But there will always be people that are unwilling to learn and unwilling to educate themselves and just wanting to leave ignorant, hateful ass, trolling comments, and that's okay. Because honestly, I don't want to please those people. I don't want compliments from those people. I think an insult from that person I would consider a compliment. But anyway, I hope you guys have a blessed day and lace the fuck up.